Hello Scramblers and Climbers, Sarah Jane here. Now, I want you to meet a friend of mine who's been wanting to meet you for a long time. He's called Tangerine, and he's a bit of a friend of Barney's too. Now, I've made a promise to Tangerine of his favourite breakfast. Are you looking forward to it? So what are you going to do while you're waiting for your promise? You're going to be a big film star, like Barney. Are you jealous? Tangerine, you don't need to be a big film star to get your promise. No, you don't. I love you the way you are. I'm going to give you your promise, even if you're not a big film star. You don't have to be as big a star as Barney. Okay, so what are you going to do while you're waiting for your promise? You're going to pay me? Why are you going to pay me? So I give you your promise. Tangerine, it's a promise. You don't need to pay me for me to give you your promise. Do you understand? Okay, take your money back. Think about what are you going to do while you're waiting for your promise? What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you doing the housework? Hang on a minute. Why are you giving me doing the housework? So that I'll give you your promise. Tangerine, you don't need to do the housework for me to give you your promise. Okay, so no being a big film star, no paying me money, no working for me to get your promise. What are you going to do while you're waiting for your promise? You're going to give me a present. Well, that's really nice of you. Very kind. But why are you giving me a present? So I'll give you your promise. I don't think you understand, do you, Tangerine? Promises are promises. If somebody gives you a promise, they're going to keep it whatever you do. So, I don't need a present. I don't need you to do all the housework. I don't need you to pay me any money. I just need you to trust me, okay? So I think it's time now that you had your special promised breakfast. Here you are. It's your banana. You eat your banana. So children, while Tangerine's enjoying his banana, why don't you watch another video about somebody who was promised something from God, and he had to learn not to try to get that promise by doing things himself, but just by trusting that God would keep his promise. Okay, bye. At the end of the story, see if you can spot, why was Jacob afraid of Esau? How did he try to make Esau be kind to him? And why didn't he need to worry?
The story's over. Jacob grew up with a twin brother named Esau. Because Esau was the firstborn, he was meant to get the special blessing. But Jacob was a trickster, and with the help of his mother, he wound up getting the blessing for himself. This made Esau furious, so Jacob ran away from the promised land. Jacob had been working for his uncle Laban for many years, and God had blessed him with a large family and lots of animals and wealth. Then one day, God told Jacob to go back to the land where Esau still lived. So Jacob sent some messengers to Esau to say, "Your servant Jacob has been staying with Laban. He has cattle, donkeys, sheep, goats, and servants, and he begs to find favour in your eyes." When the messengers returned, they said that Esau was coming towards him with 400 men. 400 men? This made Jacob afraid. Either Esau was very popular, or he was bringing an army to attack him. So Jacob split up his people into 2 groups and sent them ahead, hoping that if Esau attacked one group, at least the other might escape. Then Jacob prayed, "Lord, you told me to go back to my country and my relatives, and that you would make me prosper. I am unworthy of your kindness and faithfulness. Save me from Esau, for I'm afraid he will come and attack us. You've promised to make my descendants like the sand of the sea, which can't be counted." Then he gave the servants gifts to offer to Esau, including hundreds of goats and cows, camels, sheep and donkeys, hoping that this would make Esau happy and allow them back into the land. That evening, Jacob sent all his family and possessions over the river, and he was alone. Suddenly, a man came into the camp and began to wrestle with Jacob. So Jacob wrestled back. This went on all night, and neither would back down, even when the sun started to come up. The stranger saw that Jacob wouldn't give up, and so he touched him on the hip, and that one touch caused Jacob's hip to come out of the socket. But still Jacob wouldn't stop. Then the man said, "Let me go." But Jacob said, "I won't let you go unless you bless me." The man stopped, and he said to Jacob, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you fought with God and with men and won." Jacob had been wrestling all night with God. Jacob said, "Tell me your name." But the man said, "Why do you ask my name?" And then he blessed Jacob. Jacob knew that he had seen God face to face, and so he named that place Peniel, saying, "I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." When Jacob looked up, he saw Esau and the 400 men coming towards him. Jacob was afraid and divided the children up among his wives, and then he went on ahead and bowed down 7 times in front of his brother Esau. But Esau didn't attack Jacob. He embraced him. He ran to him and he threw his arms around him and kissed him, and they both wept. Jacob introduced his family and said, "These are my children that God has graciously given me." Esau asked Jacob, "What's the meaning of all these flocks and herds that I met?" "They're for you," Jacob replied, "so that I might find favour in your eyes." But Esau didn't want the gifts. He was just happy to welcome his brother back. But Jacob insisted, and so Esau accepted the gifts and returned home, thinking that Jacob would follow on later to join him in Edom. But Jacob went to Succoth, where he built a place for himself and made shelters for his animals. From there he moved on to a place called Shechem, where he set up an altar to God. Jacob was safely back in the land, just as God had promised.